Well, it has been a great Monday here in the Mile High City, all thanks to the Broncos taking care of business back east, beating the Panthers 32-27 at Bank of America Stadium Sunday afternoon. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Broncos Beat. I'm Alexis Perry, and here to help me relive Denver's fifth win of the season, a few of the best in the biz, James Palmer from the NFL Network, Cecil Lammey from 104.3 The Fan, and Mike Giardi from the NFL Network as well. Guys, we have to start with the talk of the town, Broncos quarterback Drew Lock, who had himself a day in Carolina on Sunday as he threw for 280 yards, completed 77% of his passes, including 4 touchdowns, and racked up the third highest single game passer rating in Broncos history, only behind Peyton Manning and John Elway. It was by far his most efficient game so far throughout his young career. So was this the kind of growth that you all had been waiting to see from Lock?
There had been so many ups and downs this season, and the consistency was there. Finally, working with the short passes. Like, there's so many things that Locke did correct yesterday. So we can call that growth. We can call it progress, and we can call it a win. It's almost like the Broncos won twice yesterday because they got the game, and Locke showed more of the development that he needs to show.
Yeah, and I agree with Cecil. I mean, Cecil, I was watching your Twitter feed as I was at the game down in Miami, hammering Locke early, and then all of a sudden, he comes about and explodes. But I think this is, Cecil's right, what Denver fans wanted to see, because I think the heat was coming for Drew Lock, and it was kind of building over the last couple of weeks. Is this the guy? I think they need to pump the brakes on that. The league now, we've seen, because of guys like Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Listen, quarterbacks do not regularly do that in the first portion of their career. Drew Lock has played 15 career games. Put those 15 games up, you can compare it, and it's better than guys like Josh Allen in his first or second season. We'll talk about him later. It's better than Peyton Manning in his first NFL season. I'm not saying he's going to be Peyton Manning, but the numbers are not astronomically terrible for Drew Lock in terms of the way these first 15 games have gone. I think he, though, desperately, Mike, needed a game like this to kind of shut some of the people up that were starting to be big-time doubters here in Denver.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question, too, with the COVID fallout and, of course, his mom stepping to his defense on social media. There's all different things that were kind of working against, I think, Drew this year. And to have that kind of performance certainly does, I think, a world of good for his confidence and probably for the teams as well. James, I love your point about he's played 15 games. Like, it's too soon to say he is or he isn't. I mean, maybe if he was terrible, you're just like, all right, look, we've seen enough and we don't need to see any more. This isn't, dare I say, Tim Tebow in Denver, even though they won some games. It's like, this is not sustainable. With Drew, you see some things that make you believe that it is sustainable, Alexis. And I think that's the thing that you have to feel good about if you're the Denver Broncos, that, he's able to shrug some of the things off that have happened to him in the past, and to have that type of performance on the road. I know no real fans there, but whatever. It's a road win. That's how it's going to go down in the record book.
Yeah, where would you guys say he improved the most this week in comparison to the first 13 weeks of the season?
No turnovers. Stop throwing interceptions. We wonder why that crescendo was building about the doubters in Denver. It's because the guy was throwing picks all the time. It was 7 games in a row, whatever it was. And 4 of those 7, it was double interceptions, more than 1 interception, as I'm trying to say, spit it out.
You got it.
Drew Lock's been trying to spit it out on the field. And what I love, James, and you mentioned the Twitter feed, it's like, okay, early on, you saw that worm burner, Jerry Jeudy. You saw the visual frustration from the kid. And it's one of those, I don't know if I can do this type of moments. And then he steadily climbed back, played within himself, played within the offense. I think that's much more important in this conversation about Drew Lock. So I like the way that he shook off the bad plays, didn't have interceptions, and then started to play steady.
And with that, Cecil, and I think what goes along with the interceptions is he was decisive, right? He made up his mind quicker in this game, I think, than I've seen in games past of where he was going to go with the football. It was drop back, look here, go here. And I think part of that, and I've talked to people that have worked with Drew Lock, is that you have to give him kind of a black and white answer. If this isn't here, then you go here. And the second touchdown to KJ Hamler was exactly that. And I think this is also an idea of Pat Shurmur starting to figure out how to work with Drew Lock. It was, we're going to read the safety. If he comes up on that cross and you don't go to Jerry Jeudy, you're going to go over the top to KJ Hamler. If he drops, you have Jerry Jeudy on the cross. Those are the things where Drew Lock goes, perfect, I can read this, done. And that's when you see him succeed. Like the first touchdown to KJ Hamler is a different aspect of how he's seeing some things. Saw they were in man, made a change, dropped back. You saw the pressure, and Cecil, the ball was out of his hand quick. And I think that was a big part on that deep ball of getting rid of the football. I think these are little things of an offensive coordinator starting to learn his quarterback. But I think, Mike, he was very decisive. He was easily figuring out where he wanted to go the football quicker than we've seen in the past. And that's probably a part of why we didn't see him turn the football over, throwing it to the other team.
Yeah, and I think, James, that there are very few quarterbacks that can sit in the pocket and hang on to it forever and then make a positive play. You've got guys like Mahomes and Rodgers and maybe some of these more mobile quarterbacks like a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray. But to your point, getting rid of the ball quickly, he knows where he wants to go with it. And you could just see the confidence that comes off of that. And I look at big picture again here, too, in the sense that, yeah, he was accurate. Yeah, he was making quick decisions, but they're still growing as a group. There's a lot of young players in the skill position department for this team. And you're still, he's still growing with Giardi. He's still growing with Hamler. He's still growing with Patrick. And I think those are the things when you look at the offense in general, you say, look, this does take some time. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to develop those sort of relationships and eventually trust this is where that guy's going to be, or that's where that guy's going to be. I think you had a tweet where Jerry Jeudy, we see how many times this year have we seen someone post Jeudy running a route and turning a defensive back around, breaking ankles, right? But then the ball doesn't come to him. So there's still this point. Yeah, but there's still this point where it's going to happen, I think, where they're going to start to figure this thing out and say, if I give him a little extra heartbeat, I know Jerry's going to turn this guy around. I'm going to be able to get him the ball. I think that's all part of the process as they continue to grow here with a very young group, quite frankly, with not a lot of games played as a group together and individually.
Well, James, you brought this up, and Cecil, I want to get your take on it. As Locke continues to learn and grow, Pat Shurmur, like we've seen, is adjusting his offense to put Locke in a position to succeed. So what are some of the most glaring changes that you've seen in how Shurmur is calling this offense for Drew Lock, especially as of late?
Yeah, screen passes. Oh my God, screen passes. Short, quick decisions. Is he regularly making one or two reads? Yes. Am I fine with that? Yes. Why? He's a young quarterback, and we have to go back to last year and realize that Rich Gangarello was telling him where to go with the ball in the earpiece. Okay, Pat Shurmur initially probably fought that, I would guess. And now you see him coming around to how do I work best with this young guy? Give him a high-low read, tell him to run if it's there. I like to see that from Drew Lock where he is making quick decisions. And if nothing's there, he's not forcing it. Don't force it. Guys are too good in this league for you to force things downfield. If it's not there, use your legs, and he can do that.
Real quick, Alexis, I do want to say this, though. It is mainly because they've been stressing that, Cecil, the last couple of weeks. It's been the big plays come if you take the underneath checkdowns and then pick your spots as it goes. It's coming from Rippon. It's coming from the coaching staff. And I think this game, he actually kind of did see it.